Hey Crafty Babes, Andrea here. So excited for our October exclusive Crafty Babe Crew video. We're going to talk about retro hip faves. And yeah, since you guys asked for this, I am here to serve. And I am so excited to talk about my favorites because when I truly love something and call it my favorite, I have loved it either because of a specific reason, because I've tested other things and comparing things. You know it's my favorite if I'm calling it a fave. So just know for sure we are talking about some great products, great people, great supplies, and we're going to have some fun today. We're going to start by having some categories. So we have tools, supplies, designers, projects, and inspiration. So you're going to see me looking off a little bit so that I can refer to my list, and let's get started with tools. Stamps. As you know, I love my stamps, and I do consider my stamps a tool versus a supply. And the reason is because I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't really call it a supply. I think maybe because they don't expire. They don't get used up. Maybe that's why. Like a tool is something that you can use over and over again, right? For the same purpose, for different purposes. But a supply to me is kind of like something that you use up. Right? So you use up your die cuts, you use up your alpha stickers, you use up your pattern paper, but you never really use up stamps. So that's kind of what we're going for with the stamps. I think you all know my love for stamps. It is definitely number one on my tools list. Number two, the Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher. Yes, yes, yes. I have always loved office things as part of my crafting. So you'll see a lot of just regular office supply stuff, like staples, a huge thing, as well as like the supplies that we're going to talk about a bit will come up, but like shipping tags, labels, things like that. Just anything office supply related. I'm going to be all about that. Number three is my sewing machine. I love stitching on my pages, and I try to keep my sewing machine within arm's reach. Right now it is sitting on what's that called? A Raskog cart. And normally I would have it here behind me so that I can just kind of flip around and sew. But right now I'm doing a little bit of shuffling of my carts. So it's not being used right now, but I can still see it. It's right there. The fourth item. Oh, I just want to talk a little bit more about the sewing machine. Sorry. I love it so much because it is such an easy way to add texture. It gets you just a little bit of that tactile thing that's just a little bit different than playing with paper. So for me, I just love the look of a good messy stitch. I like stitching around things. I like stitching things together, like of something that I would normally staple. Like let's say you've got a little cluster going on and you've got a card and a label and a die cut and you kind of just want to like ka-chunk, right? You could just easily run your sewing machine across that area you want to adhere, and it just adds so much fun and so much personality and just that extra flair, I think. Anyway, that's what I have to say about my sewing machine. Number four, my printer and good paper. So if you have been following me for a while, you may have seen this question asked around the socials or in our community, or you may have visited my Faves page before, or I don't keep my supplies a secret. I would love for everybody to be using quality paper when they're printing their photos and printing their printables. It is not necessary to have a high quality printer. It is not required to have an expensive printer at all. Good paper makes for good printables. And so if you go to my Faves page, it's just on my website right at the top with all the little navigation, you'll see Faves, and then you'll see the different kinds of papers that I use for different things. So for printables, for photos and sticker paper, for those little die cuts that we want to just have as stickers. Number 5. Where is it? Where is it? Hold on. I didn't get it out. My Dymo label maker. This is like one of the old school, like ka-chunk, you spin it to get to the letters and numbers. I love this thing. Susanna just had this at PlannerCon one time. We were crafting together and I was like, I need that in my life. And she's like, girl, go on Amazon and get one. And I was like, going now. I mean, this thing is like $10 and then you can just buy the label inserts. And I actually bought a pack of We Are Memory Keepers label inserts, label tape in a pack that had pink, red, and yellow. And so, you know, I don't use them very often, but I have them for special projects or if I remember that I have them. But I love this thing. I've only had to replace it once. I mean, sometimes the feeder will stop working, but again, for $10, you got to have this. It's a must-have. And the last thing is my paper trimmers. So I use the Fiskars in both sizes. So I really like them for different purposes, and I absolutely use both of them about equally. This one I love for smaller things like trimming out my photos, you know, or trimming out smaller printables that are square, like squares or that have straight edges. Sorry, not that they're just always square. Having things with straight edges, I'll take them to this one. The other, oh, that's weird. It's like burned. It's like warped or something. I don't know what I would have put. That's odd. I just noticed this. How often do you look at the back of your paper trimmer? Anyway, it doesn't affect anything. It's just something I noticed. It's kind of weird. Okay, this one looks to be fine on the back. This one I use for larger papers. So obviously like a 12 by 12 would fit in here. And then what I like is that it's got the arm that swings out so that you can accurately cut like a 6-inch or a 4-inch. And actually the 3-inch is kind of like right here on the edge. So this is great. They're both wonderful. I do like them because I have used plenty of other trimmers. I've used the rotary trimmers from EK Tools. Just over time, I know that they're probably more accurate because I have heard that the wire inside of these can start to bow or bend. And then what I do notice sometimes is that, so when I trim, let's say I've got my paper in here and let's say that it's a printable with cards on it, you know, 3x4 cards. Maybe there's like 4 or 6. So you have to cut all the edges off, right? Well, I cut once this way, right? And then I flip and then I cut this way and then I flip and then I cut this way. So I'm efficient with like how many times the blade is moving. I know there was some debate. I don't know how many of you are also in the Fussy Cuttin' Cuties, but there was also a conversation in one of the lives, I think, or maybe one of the weekly What's Ups, where I think Kelly always pulls it back and always cuts forward, or the opposite, and Paula always cuts back and then puts it forward to make another cut. And I'm like, you just go once and then this way and then once and then this way. But, you know, there's no wrong or right way. It was just funny. So that what I notice when I do that sometimes is that the blade will end up, see, you can see that the blade naturally sits on one side of the wire. And sometimes if you end in the middle somewhere, sometimes that blade will end up on the wrong side of the wire. And then it does give you a teeny tiny little bit of a bow, or it doesn't cut exactly where you want it to cut. And I mean, we're talking like a micromillimeter, but these are things that I recognize because I know when things are like off by a pixel. So these are things I notice, but I have loved these paper cutters, paper trimmers more than I have loved nearly every other paper trimmer that I've used, and I've used a lot. So those are all of my favorite tools. Let's move on to supplies. So I tried to keep, oh, and just one more thing about tools. The reason why you probably only saw like some really basics and nothing really super fun or fancy is because I'm not a tools girl. Like I am not a tools girl when it comes to my memory keeping, because I need things to be super simple and I don't want to take time to learn a brand new gadget. Like I'm just not a gadgets person. Like I'm not going to have, I was really like, I didn't get the Misty tool forever because I was like, what do I need that for? And, you know, I do have it now, but there are so many tools out there. There are so many, like I even bought the, sorry, I feel like I have a hair. You know how when you can feel like you have hair? Pardon me, we're friends here. We Are Memory Keepers had the scoring thing, and like I get it if you're a card maker, that's all good. I'm not a card maker, so it doesn't, you know, I don't need all of these little tools. And plus, my space is so small. I have to really be careful about what tools I get, and if I can do it manually or if I can do it with something else that I already have. Like I need tools, just like we talked about with stamps. I need tools that function for multiple things. I can't just have a tool that has one function. Now I get it with a hole punch or something like that. That's kind of a different beast, but I can't have these tools that just makes an envelope, or just a tool that, you know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to justify the fact that I don't have a lot of tools. So it's kind of a short list. All right, we're going to move on to supplies. So again, keeping things simple in my memory keeping is key for me for keeping up with what I have to memory keep. And so this is a list of 6 of my favorite things that you'll pretty much always find on my pages. Number 1, distress inks. And yes, I love the distress oxides. We did talk a little bit about the inks in my my video about stamps and stamp basics. Not a ton, but I think usually when I do projects with you guys, I'll kind of explain a little bit. The reason why I like the oxides better than the dye inks is because I like the dryness. Dye inks for me are too wet. They leave splotchy impressions, in my opinion. I always loved chalk inks. And when Prima was making their chalk inks, they had the little teeny tiny teardrop looking ones. I really loved those. I didn't mind the drying time. I just loved the way that they looked because they had a drier look. They sit on top of the paper. They don't soak into the paper, which just to me always gave a much cleaner, crisper impression. That's why I love the oxides, because they are like almost a mix between a dye and a chalk. It's like a perfect little Goldilocks of the kinds of impression that I want to get. It's like just right. So number 2, labels. I mean, you all get the magazine, so you all know. Labels are the thing. Like labels can be used for so many things. I have an entire little drawer here in my bins, all for labels. Now I have a lot of these Felicity Jane label sheets, which are awesome to use. And then I keep a little stack here of any of the ones that I have fussy cut out already. And then of course I have still several sheets of labels that need to be trimmed out, but I'm always going to include labels in my projects because they're perfect for journaling. They're perfect for small bits of like bullet information. Like if you're just labeling, labels, if you're just labeling a photo or something like that, like a thought, they're perfect to just do a little stamped sentiment on. You can do date stamps on them. You can not even stamp them. You can just use them as like little corners or little stacked, pieces of a larger cluster. They are perfect. So I love them so much. Number 3 is printables. I probably only buy, now we're not even talking stamps, but physical product is Felicity Jane is like the only physical product. Maybe sometimes Citrus Twist die cuts if they are like something that I'm really gonna love and I would rather just have the die cuts. Printables to me are just a major, helpful, easy, like I can name all the words, but they're escaping me. They're just, I like to have control over when I get them. So, I can download them right away. I can print them right away. I can use them right away. I like the instant gratification of that. I have a hard time these days with ordering something, waiting for it to show up and then being like, oh, I was really excited about buying it. And then I have to wait. Like, I'm not down with that. Like, I want things right now. And because I have such a good relationship with my printer and my print paper that I just feel like we definitely are a good match. Me and Printables, we go great together. And so many of my favorite designers are doing digital kits and digital collections. And for me, it's a no-brainer. They're quick and easy. And the other part to me is that their longevity of them. If you are the type of person that will reprint and reuse supplies, this is like annoying and it's like bouncing and annoying. Okay. We got it now. We got it. We're good. So for me, Printables, I could not live without them. In that same vein, but a different number, is pattern papers. So I don't use them very often because, if you see my style, I'm typically using grid things. I'm using Project Life cards, or 3x4 cards, journaling cards, that kind of thing. But pattern papers for me can be like the thing that is your focal point. It's kind of like something that might bring all of these specific colors together, and then you can build your layout or your colorway or your photos around a piece of pattern paper. So this whole thing right here, okay, not these. This has pattern paper in it, but this is all my like magazine printables. This is the only pattern paper that I have. And it's very full right now. It needs to be purged very badly. This section right here is all by color, and then everything new is just, I shove it in front. But I really need to go through it because when there's too much, I just don't even go in there. I don't even go look for things because it's going to be annoying. So, but pattern papers are definitely something that are my favorite supplies because they just serve so many purposes. You can cut cards out of them. You can make a full page background with them. I like to, if I need a birthday card for someone, I will, cut a little bit of the pattern paper and, make a card out of that. So it just has so many uses and you can get a lot out of your pattern papers. Number 5, 3x4 cards, 2x2 cards, journal cards, Project Life cards, pocket cards, whatever you want to call them. Still my favorite. Still such a wonderful creation. Still thanking Becky Higgins for that one. The 3x4 card to me is just a staple. Everybody, even if you are not a pocket crafter, these kinds of products are so versatile. Again, you can use them for greeting cards. You can use them in your projects. You can use them as a background, like a mat for your photos. They have so many fun sentiments and patterns and things that they are just super, super versatile. Again, I'm a gush about the paper products, obviously. And the fact that most of them, I don't know even when the last time, other than Felicity Jane, that's the only physical thing I subscribe to. I don't know when the last time is that I actually bought some journal cards. Citrus Twist has a pack of basic journal cards, and they've got some really fun ledger patterns and stuff. I did buy those a few months ago. Otherwise, I'm buying digital, and that's just what we're doing. Number 6, and the last one in my supplies, is Puffy shapes. Oh my gosh, Puffy shapes forever. So here are some of my favorites. Okay, so I always love the Puffy hearts from Citrus Twist. My favorite part about them is that when you look at them, they're very pretty with all of the different colors together. And you look at it, sometimes I'll look at mine and be like, none of these colors match anything that I do. And you get a little disappointed because you're like, these don't match the things that I'm into right now or whatever, but it never fails. I will be working on a spread or a layout or something, and I'll pull out, I have several sheets, and I start looking for colors that match. And inevitably there is something that matches or coordinates exactly. It's like she just knows all of the colors to use and all the cute patterns. Super fun. And I think the same about the Elise Studio ones. So I picked up a few of theirs recently. And I just love embellishing with these, little teeny tiny pieces. Hearts and stars and little dots are like forever going to fill in little teeny tiny spaces. I also love, let me get this smaller pack. I also love the Puffy Essentials and the epoxy dots from Felicity Jane. They are always such a great addition to like make a little cluster or add little bits of dimension. And I love, love, love these. They don't take up a ton of room because they're puffy. They aren't, hard like a piece of flair or like a button or something. So they still keep really well inside of notebooks and pocket pages and stuff like that. Always a fave. Okay, done with supplies now. Let's move on to designers. Number 1, Felicity Jane. Can we all just agree? Felicity Jane kits are so beautiful, so wonderful. Her florals on her pattern papers are the best in the biz, in my opinion, because what I love about them is that you almost know it's a Felicity Jane floral, but they're always just a little bit different. Her art on them is never exactly the same. Like when you see a crepe paper, like a Maggie Holmes flower, they always look the same. Collection after collection, that is a Maggie Holmes crepe paper flower. But with Felicity Jane, she just has a lot more variety in the types of floral designs that she makes. To me, that's just key. Okay, Kelly Bing's Creative, of course, my girl. I will basically use anything that she makes. So her style is much more fun and whimsical. I would not call her whimsical. I wouldn't call her stuff whimsical. But just in comparison to the more structured and linear and clean line style that I typically love. So she brings out a lot more fun into my stuff. So, and I just, of course, I love everything she does. I am on her design team, but I have not always been. Technically, back in like 2017, I was on her design team through Sweet Shop for her kits that she would put out through Sweet Shop. And then she kind of stopped doing that. And now I'm just her friend. And so I'm on her team. And what's so cool about her stuff is that typically I am seeing her collections months before anybody else. I'm seeing them in like the very early stages, which is the most fun to me because her and I can, feed off of each other and give each other feedback about our designs. So it is so fun having someone like her in my life. Number 3. Colorcast Designs. I love her wood pieces and her acrylics. I use the wood pieces much more because they're thin and they fit into my notebooks a lot easier, because they're flat. But her acrylics, oh my gosh, so good. I love them. I love the way that she designs the letters together. And of course, I love just her sentiments, and I love Jessica as a person. So I always will support girls that I have close relationships with, obviously. But for her, just, regardless of her as a person, her designs are amazing and I love her. Okay, number 4, Feed Your Craft. Elise is one of my very favorite designers, and she has designers that design for her as well, like Geraldine from In a Creative Bubble, who is also on this list, who is number 5 on this list. Geraldine creates for other companies like Studio Calico, and for herself, not as much anymore. But for Feed Your Craft, I love their graphic style. It's very simple line art type of things. So Feed Your Craft is definitely a favorite of mine. I will typically grab their digital stuff and their stamps. She makes amazing stamps. Amazing. Number 5, In a Creative Bubble. She was very much doing her own stuff for a while, and then also, contracting with some bigger name manufacturers. So she is with Feed Your Craft, and she still designs for Studio Calico. So we get to get Geraldine in a lot of different places. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about, I don't think she's released anything in her own digital shop since last Christmas. And I don't have any clue if she is going to produce anything else for her shop. But we know that we can always get her older stuff, because her digital cards are probably the ones that have been used the most in my stuff over the years. Just her graphic style is beautiful and amazing, and I absolutely adore it. Number 6 is Citrus Twist. I have a huge spot in my heart for Citrus Twist. I was on their team for many years, and Trina is just amazing. She's an amazing designer, and Caitlin Schaefer, who designs for her as well and designed a lot of things over the years. Their style is great. The words, for me, I use products as a way to tell stories, right? Because I don't always have all the words, but other people have a lot of the words, so I just use theirs. That's what we're supposed to do. So for me, Citrus Twist has a very underlying sassy voice. That's what I love so much, is that not everything with the way that they design and the words and phrases and sentiments that they use is happy and light and best day ever, right? Like we talk about best day ever. Oh my gosh. Well, that's not what we scrapbook about on a regular basis. We scrapbook about real life things, and it's not like everything's always bad or sad, but just their sentiments and the voice that Citrus Twist has in their designs is a very real voice to me, in my opinion. That's why I feel like they resonate so much. And plus, they're beautiful products. I love the way that Trina puts colors together and mixes in her own exclusive products with popular kits and collections that are out. I really adore them all the time, no matter what. Number 7, Kerri Bradford Studios, because her stamps are my favorite. Probably 90% of my stamps in my stash are Kerri Bradford. She is also a sponsor for the magazine, which happened because we adore each other. I've been a guest on her blog several times. Our styles fit really well together. I promote the heck out of her because I tag her in like every single project that I post on Instagram, because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to have used a Kerri Bradford stamp somewhere in my project. So her stamps are just amazing. Her alphas are amazing. Always a fun shopping experience and user experience when we're talking about Kerri stuff. Number 8, Sahin Designs is a new-ish company to, she's not super established, like having been around for, since the dawn of the scrapbooking world. But her color choices and her designs are so amazing. Her art is amazing. I love that not every collection feels the same. You can tell it's her because she has some things that kind of thread through all of her designs, but it's very subtle. I adore her collections. And so she definitely made the list. Another that is a digital designer is Humble and Create. And this is a designer who I've used for years. She has a way of making me feel comfortable using off-white instead of pure white in her cards. She always has, I don't want to call it dingy, but I want to call it, and it's not worn like a Tim Holtz situation, but there's just always like some sort of texture to her products. And they're digital. They're all flat. It's not like there's actual texture, but just the way that she designs and the colors that she uses. And, you know, if whatever overlays or things that she uses on her designs, they have my heart. They have my heart. And she sells, so Sahin Designs and Humble and Create, I think both sell on the digital press. One of them might be also on the lily pad. I think Sahin, and her name is Elif. Her last name is Sahin. So you might be able to look her up by Elif Sahin as well. Anyway, I think they're both on digital press, but look on LilyPad as well. And then number 10, Everyday Explorers Co. Because her stamps are amazing, just like Kerri's. There's something so special about Christine's stamp designs. They always have a little bit of like extra pop to them. There's always like a little bling on the corner of an, on one of her sentiments, or things are underlined, or there's like a cute icon that goes with it. Or it's bent in some way. She is an amazing designer. Her positivity passports are like so cool. Like, what a cool idea. Her monthly kits, are just amazing. So I'm a Christine fan. She is also a magazine sponsor because I love seeing how the girls on the team utilize her stamps and her products. It always inspires me. So when she has releases, I'm always like, let me see what she's got. And if there's anything I need, I'm definitely there. One of the stamps from hers that I use the most is my outfit of the day stamp, because obviously I scrap a lot about my clothing and outfits. So it's a perfect stamp for that. I love it so much. Okay, let's talk about my favorite projects. So right now I have 4 because I have done away with all of my little teeny tiny projects, and I am solely focused on, continuing with my notebooks and getting ready for December daily. So this is being filmed in October, and I've already decided what I'm going to use for my December daily, which is basically still just going to be like what I've done for the last couple years, which is 25 December faves. I'll have probably another video in December about my plans for my December book. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in another video. But for now, my favorite 4 projects, December daily, December project, whatever we call it, is on that list. It's number 4, but we talked about it, so I'm just saying it's number 4. So number 1 is my Storyline Chapters notebooks. I have definitely felt so comfortable in these notebooks. Having been a pocket girl for so many years, I knew it was the right time to downgrade my size, and I have no problem with having, I think I'm going to have, January, February was one, March, April, May, June, July, August. And then I'm having a September and October, probably in November. And then December will be in a completely different. So if I end up with 6 or 7 of these little notebooks, I'm totally fine with it, because I was always the girl who did 2 to 3 12 by 12s a year, because I was scrapbooking everything. And now that it's really not a ton about my kids anymore, I still have a lot of stories. I still have a lot of pictures and colors I want to play with. So I've loved the Storyline Chapters notebooks. The sizing on them is absolutely perfect for a girl that came from 6x8 world as well. Because remember, you can fit 4 3x4 cards on a storyline chapters page, just like you can a 6x8 album. So perfect. My other second favorite is my Fringe notebooks. So they are very similar in size. They're a little narrower and just a slight bit taller. But again, I can still fit my 4 3x4s on there. I can do different kinds of layouts. Still, I can do grid layouts. They're kind of more, I use my Fringe notebooks for things that are one-off stories versus my storyline chapter notebooks are typically for like weekly documenting, like things that might go together for the week that might tell a weekly story. And then like my 10 on 10, things like that. So I do use them for different purposes, more along the lines of storyline is kind of like chronological. And then my Fringe notebooks are kind of just like whatever I want to create willy-nilly. So that's kind of how I break them up. And my third family disc notebook. So this little guy that gets less love, just because I don't have as much to craft in this one. But it started out as a day-by-day, day-to-day Maggie Holmes notebook. So I have, it's a planner style, but I insert grid layouts and single photo layouts, as well as one of the other things that I love most about this is that I do continue to do the one calendar month spread for this because I still want to keep track of the little teeny tiny details, even though I may not have a photo for it. So that helps me just kind of still keep the memories without having to document everything. That's super helpful when you have kids who are not in your photos because they either don't want them, they don't live here, or, that's just how it goes when your kids get old. Okay, so those are my favorite projects. The last category here is inspiration. So these are all people, and a lot of them you've already heard about, but I will give their Instagram handles so that you can go follow them. They're all very popular people, so I'm sure that, most of you are probably already following all of them, but I've got 11 of my very favorites that every single time I see their layouts, I either save them or I comment and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Number 1, Elise from Feed Your Craft. Her handle is Elise by Design. It's ELISE by BY Design. Number 2, Kerri Bradford. She is Kerri Bradford Studio. The way that she layers stamps and uses her own stamps is so inspirational to me. Aimee is affectionately Aimee, and it's affectionately AIMEE. She is amazing. She's on a couple of different design teams. I'm pretty sure she's on Citrus Twist and maybe Ellie Studio. I forget, but every time I see something from her, I'm like, girlfriend, this is amazing. And she still does 9x12 pocket pages. So just seeing how she still can, match colors and, I still love seeing pocket pages because to me, just my eyes are super happy with the grid situation. So I know that's a shocker to no one. Number 4 is Shannon Dombkowski, our very own Crafty Babe crew member. She is, I believe it's just Shannon Dombkowski. I don't think she has any underscores. Anyway, amazing. I'll probably end up linking everybody in the description of the video. That way you can just click and follow. Number 5, Jessica Upton. Her handle is Jessica_Upton. That's her personal page where she posts her pages. She also uses Storyline Chapters notebook. So yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from her. She's amazing. Number 6 is Nathalie. She is An Ounce of Creativity. That's her handle. She's on the Ellie Studio design team, and the way that she layers is really amazing. I'm always inspired by how she layers and how she mixes color. So good one to follow. Number 7 is Rachel. She is the Life Facilitator on Instagram. The things I love that she does is she does planner pages, but she does a lot of memory keeping in her planners, which is not typically something that I do, but I'm very inspired by because of just the way that she lays her stuff out. I don't know. It's just, there's something super special about it. It catches my eye and I love it. Number 8 is Alena. Her handle is Alena Grinchuk. So it's AlenaGrinchuk. She, oh gosh, just, I mean, I have so many of her things saved in my Instagram collection because her stuff is just the colors, the white space, everything. Like she kills it every time. Jill from beautiful_mercy_creations is an amazing Bible journaler. I love her Bible journaling pages are super clean. She kind of like does small clusters and she doesn't do a lot of mixed media or anything like that. So it's not overwhelming to look at for me and it feels doable for me. She does a lot of just like layers and mattings and clusters. And to me, that just blows my mind. She has a really beautiful page, beautiful feed. Jen McMurtry is number 10 and she is Jen MC72. I mean, she's been in the game for a while and I just have always been inspired by her pages. And she just continues to kill it. So I love her. And number 11 is Amanda Jane Baldwin. If you are not following AJ, she used to be on my magazine team and I miss her because her stuff is just always so good. And talk about color. This girl, not only does she make like amazing layouts that are just intricate and things that just the way that she designs her pages, it just blows my mind. But the other thing I love seeing what she does is she is the master of picking 2 colors and then just honing in on 2 colors and just when you see her pages, the colors, you're just like, I would have never put those 2 colors together, but they work. She makes it. She just makes it. And so I adore her and love her stuff. So anything that I can link is going to be linked. I know I don't normally put a ton of information when we watch these just as the crew members. I'll tend to put information in a little bit more when I make it public. But these are things that I think you guys should be able to check out for yourselves and, you know, things that are on my Faves page that you might want to check out for yourself. So I'll link as much stuff as I can. And I am so glad that you guys brought this topic up. I will never steer you wrong, girls. Never, ever. But just know that just because it's a favorite of mine does not mean that it needs to be a favorite for the way that you work or for you. So please do not feel obligated to change anything that you currently do that is working. So if you love your paper trimmer and you have a good system, please continue using your own system. I never want to, encourage you in the wrong way. I don't ever want to steer you in some place that you don't really need to be. If you are good with what you have and you love what you're using, then you can just take this and just enjoy a little chat with me. So I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for being Crafty Babe crew members. Love you, babes. See you soon.